First of all, I am a Nagpurian, born and brought up, raised in Nagpur. Did my engineering from REC Nagpur, VNIT Nagpur now. And after then, I went to United States for my masters. As Kishore ji said कि एक मास्टर से समझ में नहीं आया तो इसलिए दूसरा मास्टर्स करना पड़ा. So I did two masters. I worked in automotives in Detroit, heading research and development there for some time. And I returned back to India. That time my motivation to returning to India was like there were high farmer suicide that was happening in Vidarbha region especially. I had no clue what I will do to support that, but I thought that it is a better purpose than working on so small chips inside car, right? So that's how I returned to Nagpur, figured out what I should be doing. In the mid-track, I was hijacked. One of very senior colleague came from ICICI Foundation, and I worked 1 year in rural economy. So that was one very best years of my life, where I was trying to understand like how rural economy can be made fluid, like financing coming in, but that financing associating with their livelihoods, right? Either in farming or in energy or in water. Lot of these supply chains are broken today in rurals, right? So how financing can act as a lever to kind of make the supply chains more working and productive in rural. So that was one good year spent in rural. तब वहाँ से कुछ चीज़ें समझ में आई कि it's not really about the technology, it's not about the solar, it's not about the electric vehicle. Technology existed and it will continue refining and improving, but it is the people, right? It is the agencies and departments that can make this really operational, right? And do the right customization so that a combination of technology with right policy, with right kind of financing, and with right kind of governance, this four things if comes together, तो वहाँ पे बिजली आ सकती है गांव में, पानी का सप्लाई भी अच्छा हो सकता है, राइट? जो हमारी सब्सिडीज एंड इलेक्ट्रिसिटी जाती है वो सब भी ठीक हो सकती है. तो लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स कैन इम्प्रूव if we can work upon a right model, a win-win for others. So that's how I started P Manifold. I co-founded P Manifold in 2010. Now it's 15 years. And a lot of changes happens as we worked. But all throughout in P Manifold, we always were instrumental in driving next changes and innovations in the energy part of the supply chain, right? Today, at any level, you take rural, cities, national levels, energy forms a very, very important driver for moving everyone, right? Our transport, our electricity, lot of our imports are governed by our fossils imports. So energy is everywhere. Now the world is working towards driving it clean. And hence my topic of today's discussion, which I wanted to discuss with you about net zero and governance. So my company today, now we are advising 60 countries, 60 plus. We are working with their national governments and regional governments. Not at all time I had the opportunity to go to the city or district levels, but in some parts, yes, I do interact with them. So I'm here to also learn from you, right? I think Kishore ji has already made you the crusaders of like who drive the real things, right? Policy happens at central, but the right execution of it happens at the most ground level at district and ULBs. That's where you come. So we will talk today about net zero from the climate perspective, and why climate is becoming an important driver for a lot of economic, environmental, and also social decisions is, I think I would want to bring through examples. While I'm discussing it, I would be very happy to kind of get your inputs. I have requested organizers to share with you some post-its, but Don't remain constrained by the post-its. I am assuming you have your own pen, you have your own hand notes and diaries. Tear out a piece of paper or small sheets for me. But what I want is like when I am speaking, and I am also told that you have already got your cadre, right? Like what you will be doing post this training. I want you to visualize, like if you are in that role, right? I am assuming you are fairly living out and getting into that. What you could be doing in this direction? How can you bring climate, the learnings that you think are relevant? What are some of those ideas that comes to your mind that I would want to that I would want you to write in that paper, and we will find out ways. If you had the post-it in hands, you can stick it. If not, then fine, I'm happy to get your notes. I will go through each of the notes, right? Because that's what I want to learn from you, that what transpires you from today's discussion into something you believe you would want to take when you start your job, right? Whether it be as a revenue officer, Tehsildar, CEO level, or agricultural or another, everywhere climate resilience is becoming important, right? So, and you may have ideas, but you may also have questions. You are welcome to discuss. Feel free to even raise your hands while I am speaking. I don't want to let you doze off, so let's have an active interaction. Anytime you can raise your hands and share your thoughts and questions. Great. All with me? Someone is still feeling sleepy post lunch? No, I can see smile. Okay, good. What is net zero? Can you raise hands and let me know that you have some background of what is net zero? What is net zero? And everywhere, like in daily economic times, any business magazine read, you will now find the topic on climate. World Economic Forum, they recently did a survey across all the big governments, corporates, multinationals, as well as small, and they kind of asked like what are the most risks to operating and existence in the planet, right? And they did it in two timelines, one for 2 years timelines and one for 10 years timeline. And in 2 years timeline, lot of IT and AI related issues were standing high, right? The misinformation, the speed with which any information can travel, I think is the biggest risk that we are facing with our internet penetration. But here also you will see that weather events, extreme weather events, pollution is still playing a role. But when you go for it 10 years, like what are the biggest global risks in 10 years? Everyone, there is a lot of unanimous in saying that extreme weather events, biodiversity loss, right? Ecosystem collapse, critical change to earth systems, natural resources depletion. All of the things are kind of saying that the biggest risk that we are facing is originated from nature and climate. Like we are fast depleting or affecting our climate ecosystem, and that is leading to chain on series of the severe or intense climate events, and that is posing lot of damage and losses into the system, and that is posing risk to life, to business, right? So that is the risk that climate is posing there. Small primer, I would say, 101 on why the climate change is happening, right? Most of you, I hope you are aware that we as humans are doing and using lot of fossils in everything, right? In electricity, in transport, in the waste that we are generating, in the materials that we are consuming, and the material, the plastics, the process, all those things are accumulating more and more CO2, carbon in our atmosphere, and that is leading to this global warming. And scientists across the globe has come to this consensus that if this global warming goes beyond 1.5 degrees Celsius, right, to you and me, 1.5 degrees Celsius seems a very small range, right? Even with an air conditioning, we are able to move 7 degrees Celsius. So to cognizant, to make this cognizant that how 1.5 degrees Celsius change will be such a big thing for the global. So scientists have established lot of correlations on that part, and it's fairly concluded that we are already at that 1.2 increase range, and we are moving that 1.5 and 2 degrees Celsius definitely, but we start need to act to kind of save us, right? And what that is causing, that global warming is causing lot of disruptions in our climate, and lot of this are very counter, right? You will see, I am told that you most comes from Marathwada and the coastal regions. You will see that that region is affected by drought. It is closer to the coastal lines, but it is still affected by the droughts. There are severe floods, and same region can go through this two cyclic changes of drought as well as flooding, right? Intense heat is again another thing that we have seen a lot across Maharashtra, but also in Marathwada. So lot of those severe intense climate, again the trends have been fairly correlated that with this increase in global temperature, the intensity, the periodicity and randomness of this climate events has also increased, right? And when they have increased, it is affecting us in one or the other forms. Even most developed countries like US have not been able to figure out like why California keeps getting the forest fires so often. So huge loss of the economy and people health and properties, right? So all these things have started happening more and more intensely. Crop yields are getting affected, lot of different pests are affecting our crops, and we are running into the vicious cycle. We think that we are solving one problem by taking one form of crop culture or fertilizer and doing it for long periodicity. We think that, oh, we have got into the other trouble, right? First we wanted to improve the rice cultivation, we went into some style of rice production and increasing yield of rice, and now we are struggling that, oh, we are using too much of fertilizer, too much of water, and there is a water distress that is happening in those regions. So there are multiple things where we try to fix thing in one sector, but it crossfire it in the some other sector. So net zero is one kind of a framework that can allow us and balance us, that we have to take that broader right angle which is sustainable for our ecosystem, right? And across sectors it should do right for us. So that is what the net zero structure kind of comes in. India stands at very interesting position, right? Like we are number one in terms of loud population, right? We are number one in terms of population. In spite of that, we are number four or five in terms of our GDP, right? But when I now correlate it with respect to our GHG emission intensity, where India stands with respect to other, we are number three in terms of absolute emissions. So that tells that India, in spite of being small, in spite of being high population, we have enough industrialization, right? So we stand third in terms of our emissions. But when we look into emissions per capita, we are very good. We are 110th, right? Which is good. So there are things which the country has been doing right. In terms of our renewable positions, renewable energy, India stands almost fourth or fifth in ranking. Fourth, I think, in terms of installation capacity of our renewables, we stand almost some 250 megawatt out of our close to 250 gigawatt out of our 500 gigawatt capacity of power generation. So we stand almost fourth on that. And in terms of our mix also, we are, I think, amongst the five. So all these different indicators, I think India is doing right. So we have an opportunity to maintain our technical and climate edge, right? And compensate for some of the things which we have to take care as a developing a nation. In terms of climate extreme events, India has been ranked as 7th. So we face so high intensity of the vulnerable events that comes. And Assam, Andhra Pradesh and Maharashtra is amongst the top states where we are hit by more and more climate events and intensity is increasing, right? So as Maharashtra cadet, we must be aware of this thing. And within Maharashtra also, if you see Ahmednagar, Parbhani, Nandurbar, Nanded, Mumbai districts in Maharashtra, they are more vulnerable to the impacts of extreme events. Who amongst you comes from this or close regions and you feel that this is the right stats, this districts are facing more of the climate events versus the other districts of Maharashtra. So who are from these regions? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, couple of you. And do you belong to these regions or you are going to these regions for your postings? You will be going? You belong to these regions. Okay. And you have seen this cycle of events that are happening and affecting your district, right? Can you do something about it? I want to see the hands raised. As cadets, do you think you have any influence or control upon this thing? Yes? I want to see the hands raised. Okay, I see only 2 hands and I will remember their face. Rest I will again repeat after we, 3 hands. Okay, now people are raising. Okay, so 3 hands out of almost 165 I am told. So rest others, let's see if your views change when you enter into it and you have that small post-it in your hand to put your observations. So what I am showcasing is electricity generation is almost forming 70-75% of all the emissions. In India, by capacity, we are 50% less of coal in terms of our power generation, but in terms of our energy mix, it is still forming 75%. So lot of coal is resulting into our high electricity related emissions. Second is coming from agriculture, right? So agriculture, lot of fermentation of using the livestock that we use, the fertilizers that we use, and those practices leads to the emissions, right? Our manufacturing and constructions are the second one, and transport, right? So I would roughly say that 70% from electricity generation, another 15% from agricultural, another 10 to 14% from transport. These are the big buckets where a lot of emissions are there. And when we have to now start thinking of what solutions exist to reduce these emissions, right, and make it net zero, what are the solutions for each of these sectors? And my assumption is like lot of your postings, lot of your work will relate to the sectoral representation. So if you are in revenue officer, different businesses, land, forest, agriculture, at city level, you will be controlling the municipality, the waste generation, the transport. So lot of these sectors will start coming under you. Lot of those approvals for industrial and commercial malls and clusters will also come under you. So if you can start bringing this climate lenses for any approvals or any questions that you are discussing, what is happening in your regions, how it is affecting climate and how it is mitigating or improving climate, that's a lens that I'm hoping that after this discussion today, you are able to wear, right? And see through all the different decisions that you will start governing very soon. I will not get into too much technicalities. There is different types of emissions. So if I am a manufacturer and within my premises I am running a machine, I am running a burner, I am running some vehicles, These are my direct emissions that I am contributing, which I am responsible. So that is called scope 1 emissions, right? Now there are certain things that I am using in my premises, which is the electricity which is generated outside, but I am using internally. So all that electricity and fuels, that will call it as a scope 2 emissions, because they are little indirect emissions. And third part is any raw material that I am using for creating my product, and that raw material is manufactured at somewhere outside my premise and it got distributed through transport and it reached to my premises, I will call it as the scope 3 emissions. So as the economy is growing, more climate awareness is coming, you will see that there are a lot of new compliances on businesses on sustainability reporting, right? There are a lot of transparency reporting of your emissions, and lot of big businesses, especially on who are in the different stock indexes, they are all following this different emissions. So lot of them will put up a target on their scope 1 and scope 2 emissions. Scope 3 emissions, which are bulk of the emissions, most of them kind of ignore, right? So I think the world is now creating new governance mechanisms where a business will also be made responsible to influence its scope 3 emissions, right? So this is how a layer of governance is being brought to make the businesses focus on reducing their emissions. And these businesses then would include electricity, transport, and all different. And that's how it goes down to that level. So this is a layer of reporting that becomes important. As I said, like the things which starts contributed by our human activities affecting our natural ecosystem, the impact of it is coming in different forms, right? Those floods, those droughts are affecting the markets, right? The crop yield is getting affected. The prices of those products to the end consumers and to the farmers are getting affected. It happens during those times. So health is another angle that comes when you are handling kind of the climate events. And in the era that you and me are living today, there are a lot of inter-country conflicts that has started happening related to the fuels, right? Russia, India, China, US, India. So all those new reasons of conflicts is also starting to come from the fossils and the climate impacts. So it's kind of a new horizontal, I would say, right? What do I mean by horizontal? You may be performing your responsibility in any of the verticals, any levels, any sectors, but climate is affecting all of us. Yeah. And hence it becomes important to bring that lens that I was asking you to do, that whatever things you are controlling or permitting or approving, right, you kind of check it against a climate lens. Okay. Again, you may have come up across these two important terms. There are two things which we can do. One is mitigate and second is adaptation. What is mitigation? Mitigation is saying that how can you help control and reduce those emissions, right? That is mitigation. You are mitigating that risk. Adaptation is that, okay, you cannot control the end effect. Things have escalated or passed through the time zone, that flood or other thing is going to come, right? How do you avoid or lower down your losses or damage to that? How do you adapt to it? So that is adaptation. And these are the two strategy which you need to be understanding and also applying to any sectors that you will be working forward in your roles. Yeah. One is mitigation, what I can do to reduce it actively. Adaptation, if it happens, what I need to do to reduce the losses and damage to my people. So that is adaptation. So these are the two-pronged strategies that the world is also using when they are talking about how to build a climate resilience, right, towards net zero. So India has made a commitment that by 2070, India wants to become net zero. China says that it wants to become net zero by 2060. US and Europe have their targets for 2050. So different countries, by their own positioning where they stand in terms of their economy and their technologies, have made these commitments. And I'm using the word net zero, net, right? Net zero by 2070 would not mean that India does not emit any emissions at all, right? That is not going to happen. That is not practical. The net zero would mean that, okay, we have taken steps actively on policy and all other angles to reduce and curb our emissions, right? We will emit something lower, but whatever this positive emission that we are emitting, we are also ensuring that we are creating that enough green cover through forests. And now there are different technologies as well in which you can absorb or sink carbon dioxide, right? So that the net effect of this remains closer to zero. It will not necessarily be zero, but it is to the reasonable extent. So that is net zero. So that is the vision that India has set up, and we are fairly strong in terms of leading it. As I said, like, in spite being number one in population, number three in emissions, we stand at number four in terms of our renewable capacity. We stand number three in terms of the number of EVs that are on road in the country, right? We are amongst the earliest ones, amongst top five in our hydrogen mission and target that we have set. And in terms of the carbon capture, right, India has set up a new mission of almost 40,000 crores, in which we are amongst the early ones in the developing nations to set up a mission for carbon sink. Yeah. So across all different layers of driving net zero, India has already taken up the leadership positions. Yeah. So I think we stand at a good position. And again, reminding what Kishorji started, that policies are made up at top level, but it will be you guys who at the right level of granularity that you are working to bring them into executions. Yeah. So India has set up its own decarbonization targets. We want to reach 500 gigawatts of non-renewable by 2030. I think this number I told you, we have already passed 250 gigawatt in terms of non-renewables, including nuclear and hydro. So I think many of us believe that we will be able to achieve this number. We want to reduce our emission intensity to 45%. This number stands today around 34%. So I think, again, I would believe that India would be able to reach these targets of reducing its carbon intensity, right? And we have added forest cover. So I was looking into some stats this morning. So almost some 2 gigatons of CO2 we are able to absorb more compared to our 2015. So in last 10 years, we have added more forest cover, right? So I think this third target that has been set, that we want to grow 3 billion sink via forest, I think that also looks achievable to me, right? So just trying to say that these targets that India has set for 2030, many of you or others who may have believed 4-5 years back that that pace is not possible for India where we stand, I think we have shown that it is doable. So we really stand at that juncture where we have strong muscles, right, and strong capabilities, and we have showcased that we are amongst the top 4 and 5 in many of these areas to achieve. So that momentum now you guys have to maintain and drive through execution now, right? Planning has been placed, but maintain and executing now is something which will become very, very important. There are a lot of other good policies that have come. We have our hydrogen mission, we have our e-mobility policies. E-mobility policies like at P Manifold, we have executed more than 200 projects helping different countries to kind of put up their e-mobility roadmaps. So I think India definitely has done a great job in driving e-mobility in all segments. Two-wheeler, three-wheeler, we have the highest success. Buses, we have really shown that a right business model. You have come to Nagpur, I would request that if they can be organized to visit our electric bus depot. If required, Kishorji, we can organize that visit also. So a right business model innovation on our electric buses have made possible of penetration of electric buses in Nagpur, but in many of the small cities as well. Yeah. Now the contract between municipality and operator is what they call it a gross cost contract, GCC. And the concept is very interesting and it can be applied to many other sectors. Yeah. Here you are encouraging the private sector to put investments into e-bus and setting up the chargers and taking up the entire end-to-end responsibility. भाई बस भी तेरी, चार्जर भी तेरा, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी सप्लाई भी तेरा, रन ऑपरेट मेंटेन भी तू करेगा, राइट? इसके लिए पैसा भी तू लाएगा. I will pay for every kilometer that this bus runs, and every bus I want to do 200 kilometers per day, and I will pay on a weekly basis for all this thing, right? Revenues from the passengers I will collect as municipality, but this is my commitment that every bus 200 kilometers I will pay daily. Right? You have to run the bus. And you have to then apply and quote that, okay, I will charge this rupees per kilometer, and that's how a bidder is selected. And this model has scaled up quite well because it is well financially protected on an operational model basis. Financiers feel comfortable, right? And this model is scaling up. India is amongst the first country to showcase this GCC model and its scale. And now I'm working in so many African and Latin countries and Southeast Asian countries. They are trying to learn how we can apply this GCC into public transportation space and how if this can be extended to other vehicle segments below buses as well, right? So that is the space where India is also showcasing how it can be done. So in mobility, we have done a good job. India has recently set up a carbon trading systems. How many of you here knows what is carbon credits, what is carbon trading? Okay, very good. Who can tell what is average carbon credit price today in voluntary market? Roughly, any guess? One carbon credit is equal to 1000 kgs of CO2, 1 ton CO2. That is one carbon credit. How much it is valued in international market? So answer is there is no one single answer, right? It depends on the type of project and how you have framed this project to the buyer. If you position it as renewable energy, then maybe 10 years when renewable was very early for India, and there was a huge viability gap, it could have attracted maybe even $20-30 per ton per one credit, carbon credit. But today, because of our dynamics, when the solar has come down so low, right, this carbon credit may not have any value unless if it is generated on some very difficult terrain of Leh Ladakh or some remote rurals in terms of distributed energy generation, then it starts having the value, right? So point I am trying to say, people and markets have connected carbon credit now to social angle. Environmental angle was already there because it's carbon. Economics angle of viability is already there because that's why you are going to the carbon market to improve viability of your projects. But now the new mechanisms have added the social angle to your carbon, that the currency is not defined like what value to the people that this project is affecting is giving, and that may determine the price of that carbon credit. Yeah. So it's a very new market that has emerged. India has been doing fairly well in voluntary sell of this carbon to the international markets. But now India has also set up an internal carbon market, CCS, carbon credit system. It's a compliance market, right? It only tells that if you are the high polluter, right, you will be taxed, you will be monitored, you will be given a benchmark that okay, if you are a steel company, power production company, cement company, you can you will have this benchmark of this much carbon intensity per ton of your product produced, and you will be monitored. If you do lower, you will earn credits. If you do more, then you will be penalized, right? And you have to buy the credits from someone who is doing better. So this is called as a cap and trade mechanism. So India has developed that cap and trade mechanism for carbon. It's a very recent development, last 6 months, and now it is developing new guidelines for different sectors where it is setting up these benchmarks. Again, very interesting mechanism, right? You, as in your different roles, if you work innovatively, if you work with right set of people, you may be able to find and tap into carbon as innovative financing. If you are able to showcase and bring the angle of people impact, the social impact into the project well, then you can tap into this additional source of carbon mechanism. Yeah, I want this to be as a key lesson that you take from today's discussion. Lot of innovations are happening. If you focus on those points and you say that okay, my region is affected by so and so cropping patterns and water distress and so fertilizer things, I want to take care of this in this form, you may be able to put up a good right climate proposal, right? There are a lot of agencies, non-profits who can help you to support some technical study for such things and help to arrange financing through carbon and through some new mechanisms that are available, where the early market viability is taken care of by some grant financing. Yeah. So that is one lesson that I want to take. And my company is making many of such proposals, even to the tune of $600 million for many countries like Indonesia and lot of African countries, and combining multiple countries. So that is possible. So it's a big money that I'm saying, but I'm saying climate financing can bring right financing to the very new problems if we are able to bring a right social, environmental and economic reasons to it. Lot of things on circularity is happening. Many of you will go into the agriculture. There is a Prime Minister Kusum scheme which is driving more solar water pumps into the agriculture. Earlier, it's a kind of a vicious cycle, right? Like the grid is not able to supply to farmers because the cost is very low, right? And there is a lot of theft. So now discoms are kind of trying to segregate the agricultural feeders, provide power into it only for limited hours, but they have now instead used all the earlier subsidies into setting up this solar water pumps, right? It's a one-time investment, but it works. Property is passed to the farmers, they maintain, they operate. There is a AMC provider, and the system is working quite well. So it helps to kind of solve a lot of energy, but also water nexus. Because solar water pump, you cannot keep it all on in the night. It goes off. Sun goes off, water pump goes off. So those are mechanisms that are putting in place. This is one visualization of how India intends to go to net zero. So I want you to kind of take a view of it. So we are standing somewhere close to 2025. So we are at this level of our GHG emissions on a yearly basis. Many of the projections says that we will still keep going on the higher side and we will peak something around 2040, right? Some of the world energy bodies like IEA and others, they predict that the world should peak, the world should peak by 2030. Then only they believe that by 2050, world has a chance to kind of keep below 1.5 degrees Celsius ranking. India, I think, by some estimates, even in spite we do lot of measures, we believe that by 2040 is where the peaking will happen. And then slowly all the right efforts that we will take in this remaining 15 years will allow this carbon intensity to go down, down, down till the year 2070. Again, it's not becoming zero, right? As I said, the positive carbon will reduce, and we still have to see how the net through our forest and other things we are able to keep it net zero. And these are lot of technologies and options that remain available to India and to the world, right? What are we talking? We are talking first, like, can we make our electricity green on the generation side? So that's where solar, wind, biomass, hydro, even nuclear kind of comes in. Second, we saying, can we make our consumption efficient, right? Can our industry, can our residents, can our agriculture, by the appliances we are using, can we make energy efficient so that lesser electricity is required? So lot of energy efficiency is kind of coming into the practice. Within sectoral level, as I said, electric vehicles is one technology which can help you reduce the emissions in your transport sector. Yeah, renewables are helping you reduce your emissions on the energy sector. So energy is taken care, transport is getting taken care. So these are all these. Now there are some sectors like hard to abate sectors, which typically are the power, steel, cement, fertilizers, refinery. These sectors, with the RE addition and electrics, it is not enough to cater to the net zero within them. So world has kind of developed green hydrogen. Who understands green hydrogen here? Very briefly. Green hydrogen. There are different colors of hydrogen, not a gas molecule of hydrogen, it is colorless. But the way it gets produced, it gets different labels: blue hydrogen, gray hydrogen, green hydrogen, and there are more, another 3 or 4 more names. Who can tell me what is green hydrogen? Please.
Carbon production mechanism, this does not lead to emission of hydrogen production mechanisms, which does not lead to carbon emission.
But how does that happen?
With the help of solar energy.
Okay. Great. So green hydrogen is basically you are producing hydrogen, let's say through electrolysis route, where water H2O is broken into hydrogen. And for electrolysis, you need electricity. So you were very right that if we generate that electricity through renewable sources, that is called green hydrogen, right? So that is one mechanism where the hard to abate sectors can also kind of drive their emissions lower. There are some routes where that hydrogen is produced through our waste. So our municipal solid waste, MSW, right, or sewage waste, it has lot of organic content. So if you are able to break that content through, again, different mechanisms, and pyrolysis is one such process, then the hydrogen release can be captured and used for further process, right? But in that process, you also have CO2 that is released. And that is what it is said, that this CO2, if can be used for any other process, there are processes which require CO2. So because we don't want this CO2 to be released to the atmosphere, right? Because all what was trapped in that biomass is again released back. So to avoid that, we have to have a carbon capture mechanisms. So a lot of those technologies will also start seeing happening. Lot of our cooking today is happening through LPG. Right, and there are a lot of schemes where we are driving more and more LPG even in the rural use, but still at the end of day it is fossil fuel it is emitting, a more efficient form for cooking can be electrification of cooking, right? Because the energy is directly translated into the equipment and the losses are lesser, and you have an option of producing that electricity clean. So lot of electrification will be happening at cooking and lot of industry processes as well. So these are all different technologies that will start happening, and some of these technologies will start becoming more and more mature as it moves forward. So hydrogen will start getting used in trains, in heavy vehicles like trucks, right? So these are new applications where we will start applying and it will become profitable. So like my company, we developed electrification roadmap of trucking in India, right? So we evaluated, okay, a diesel truck, a battery run truck, and a hydrogen run truck, right? And we compared that what are the life cycle cost of running a truck for these three fuel sources. And then we recognize that, okay, at what point of time the hydrogen or battery truck cost per kilometer will become similar to diesel, assuming that diesel prices are going up and assuming that hydrogen production cost is coming down, right? Battery costs are coming down. So we figured it out some years, and it depends on different use case. If I am running my truck to carry water and milk, or if I am running my truck with heavy load of steel and cement, this intensities and this time periods would change, right? So there's lot of work that goes into figuring out कि ये टेक्नोलॉजी कहाँ पे बेस्ट सूटेबल है. You just cannot solve, EVs is not a problem that will solve every segment. You have to apply it and look into कि आप जो application चाह रहे हो उसमें ये problem suitable है क्या, right? So this is third lesson I want to give to you as a remember, right? First है कि इधर उधर नहीं देखना. Second है कि ऐसे नहीं करना. You have to be very clear yes or no. And third is this one, that just one name does not solve every problem, right? You have to have some right understanding of that technology to be able to map it to the problem that you want to solve, right? So very important at your level that you define your problem statement clearly. Trust me, if you are able to write your problem statement, whatever you are dealing with, if you are entering into a meeting and you are to enter and handle a conflict, if you are able to write that problem clearly and visualize it, that itself will start showing you the way out and solution. So define your problem statements rightly. There is a high chance that you will crack your problems. So central has defined its policy, its net zero and different sectoral targets and how to reach there. States have now taken up those central targets and they have converted into what is feasible for states. For some targets, they believe that they can do better than central. And for some targets, they can do lower than what central is kind of targeting. So states have, like Maharashtra has come down with its own policies, right? Now, when you take care of your districts, now there are some districts in Maharashtra like Satara, Nagpur, who have started putting, Pune, they have started putting up their climate change action plan, right? So they are taking cues from central, from state, and then at their district or city level, they are defining their climate action plans, right? So I think that is one request, or that is one lens that I want you to take. If you can spend a next week, you can have my LinkedIn ID or my email after this meeting, and if you can reflect upon what you have learned today and the position that you are taking as a cadet, what is that climate action plan that you believe will work in that agricultural sector, in that district, or whatever role your specific it is, I want you to look into that, give yourself a time of a week, and then whoever has completed it, give us, give a mail to me. You can copy Kishorji as well. But I think then these learnings and these discussions today will get into practice, right? And once you have thought about it and when you get on to the real work, lot of things will start coming to you. Uh, I think top level, I want to kind of suggest that focus what you can do to mitigate those emissions in whatever roles you are playing, right? Planning and approvals, land use planning typically will come under you. How we can have it more clean, energy efficient, how you can drive faster clearances to projects which has environmental and climate values, right? Embed this sustainability in lot of energy, water, waste, and agri that you will be managing at your levels, including buildings, building codes. Enforcement is very important. A lot of times there are policies, but how will you ensure that it is tracked? And trust me that if at your level you are able to provide data, right? If you are able to monitor it well and you are able to provide data, that data will make you stand very tall. Like it can help you attract more projects and more financing because everyone, and if you are able to say that, okay, this was the data that was existing when I came, I took this interventions and the data is now showing me that it is moving in a right direction. If you are able to share that brief things, uh, the world would want to come to you to support how to scale up that measure beyond your region to broader district to bigger regions. So yes, data will become very, very important. We talked about resilience. You will be in position where a lot of this climate events would have struck and you have to handle the events. Again, how best you can create early warning systems, take preventive measures, go into the root cause, like flooding is happening in your city, but why it happened. Don't leave it like many others do on a political agenda of ensuring that some relief measures are taking, but go into a root cause of that engineering level to ask why this region got affected, why this dam got overflowed, why, and how it can be fixed, what can be done to improve it, right? So I think that level of focus will allow that next time when such disaster happens, the city or your region is better equipped, right? Just providing relief or handling when the losses have happened is not the active way of handling different climate events. Be more proactive with water and climate resilient agricultures. There are a lot of ways and means that is being suggested and directed. Uh, Between the different global trades, there are a lot of mechanisms. Again, if you have a clear data of how and what has contributed to the losses in your region, and you are evidently able to share it, there can be a right kind of loss and damage mechanism in which again your region and your people can be supported. So again, data can help you with those right measurements and claiming right for it. This I think I have covered when I was talking and sharing with you examples. I will ensure that you get this presentation. If you remain interested, you can look into it. But sectorally, it is kind of saying that what economics India has reached today across these different sectors, right? Our coal is costing us more, our solar is costing us less, but still you and me do not have solar in our homes, right? So I'm not saying it's a blame on you and me. Then you have to ask a question why, right? Why I haven't gone solar into my home, right? So then it may cite into other questions that okay, financing is a problem. where people are struggling to get easy financing, or even if finance is available, my roof space, people are challenging. I'm living in a society, 40 apartments, who will share that roof space is becoming a challenge, right? So again, that why can help you with right ways of diving deeper into the economics and hence driving people behaviors. Similarly for adaptations, again, I have listed things which I believe can fall under a cadet like yours control: land use and planning, infrastructure approvals, right? Compliance is oversight. If you are again maintaining that data and compliance and enforcement around air, water, noise, and those pollutions, that will be helpful for you to drive actions. How faster you can respond to any disaster or emergency situations, and how are you monitoring different public services delivery, be it water, waste, public transportations. So these are areas which will come under your control, and all these areas have roots in mitigation, adaptations, and something both co-benefits of them. Kerala has done it well. So I am sure that Maharashtra, with all of you active guys, can do better. So Kerala has set up a very good example of creating a state action plan on climate change 2.0, and they went on with a right approach of framing, putting up a framework, then methodology, then they went into creating the right kind of a governance structure, right? Like within that action plan, they defined who will be doing at what level, and they tied it up to the state level apex to the most lower level of local panchayats as well. And they appointed people in different, I think Kerala has some 11 or 14 districts. So they went into that level of resolution in their planning and appointed right persons so that they ensure that the governance of this action plan follows. And of course, they listed down different measures, what they want to do under mitigation, adaptations, and they also thought through that almost that 100,000 crores rupees that they will need to fund these initiatives, how they can source these funds. And lot of innovations are happening in that space. You would have heard municipal green bonds, climate financing, concessional financing, lot of international climate finance happens in that space. The e-bus example that I gave is a great example of a PPP, where a public and private institution came together to finance and sustainable infrastructure. So it's a good level of planning. I think Maharashtra will also be starting to do this. Actions will come onto your side. So yes, things are rolling. This is just a summary of what I have said. Um, I will stop here and try to maybe take more questions. I have kind of listed down what some of the roles that you may be taking. Maybe you can tell me who is expected to take the deputy collector or an SDO position. Do you already have this clarity? Who will take what positions? You have? So anyone in the first position? No? Okay. Second one, Zilla Parishad and Block Development Officer. Here. So who will be taking this position? Can you just give me by hand so that I know? All of you or some of you, right? Okay, good. So in that position, we believe that the water, sanitation, local infrastructure will come under you. So climate relevance can be the solar pump, the Kusum scheme, the biogas, the LED street lights, waste. Indore has set up a great example of waste collection and management. So can it be replicated, right? So that waste to circular economy, I think that is something to be looked into if we can improve the watershed mechanisms. So I think these are some of the measures which remains possible. and Satara, Jalgaon, I think they are leading in some of these government schemes, like even Narega scheme. Lot of good work tied with watershed can happen, right? So if it comes under you, you are able to monitor and channelize it well, then you are ensuring that by right data keeping, you are able to say that, okay, this budget, this thing, this many watersheds, this many liters of water that we were used, and we were able to measure it by improvement in our crop yield productivity. Such measurements can allow you to make a strong case of different financing mechanisms for further scaling up those activities. So again, that becomes useful. Tehsildar revenue administration, is this something that we will guys will be taking? No, this is not relevant. Urban local body? Urban local body, yes. Okay, so many of you will be taken urban local bodies. So again, it remains very similar like the previous one that we discussed, BDO officer. Waste, public transport, water, buildings comes. Uh, Waste represents an important activity. Buildings, green constructions, different building codes. I think that becomes relevant for you guys to drop. How we can drive increased decentralized solar rooftops at different point of the streams. I think that is another thing that could be looked into. Uh, I think this we have spoken. This is my ask from you that if you can use your next 1 week, I am happy to share this presentation. I will ask Kishorji to share this PDF with you today. If you can kind of reflect and say that, okay, when you are that urban local body in charge or the BDO for your respective regions, what is possible. So try to give through some Google searches like what are climate events that are known that is affecting your region, and what are some things on the mitigation side and on adaptation side that you think you can pursue in those regions, right? And any innovation ideas that you have, any cross functionality you may have, right? Like I'm sure like we are grown up in India with lot of opportunities but lot of constraints and stories. We know that how a good idea just die out because someone else higher up in the chain did not support it. So I think that is reality, right? So if you have those ideas like how you can drive some of these suggestions through the real system and the hierarchies, I think that will also be strong to reflect, right? Rather than you facing that problem later, I'm sure with lot of your natural intelligence, which I still believe has good score over the AI. So I think try to see like what challenges you see may come, and hence kind of thinking ki how you can drive it and navigate it between the right things. So I definitely would look forward if you guys would really want to reflect. If you can raise your hands, please. Okay, please go ahead, sir.
सर मी ग्रामीण मराठीत बोलत चालेल सर
हिंदी बोलोगे
हिंदी
ज्यादा
ओके
अच्छा.
मैं रूरल एरिया से आता हूँ लातूर से और मैंने ये ऑब्जर्व किया है पिछले कुछ दिनों में ये जो रिन्यूएबल टेक्नोलॉजी का एडॉप्शन है इसमें अगर इकोनॉमिक सेंस बनता है तभी रूरल एरिया में उसका एक्सेप्टेंस है and there is a lack of understanding regarding climate change in the rural areas as well. They are not. I'm not saying they are not concerned about climate change, but they are not aware about climate change and impact of it on their lives. So इसके रिगार्डिंग अगर कुछ कर सकते हैं इंडिया में अगर देखा जाए तो आज पॉवर्टी का परसेंटेज एंड देखा जाए 30-40% के अराउंड है. तो ये इकोनॉमी जो टेक्नोलॉजी है उसको स्केलेबल कैसे बनाया और लास्ट पर्सन तक उसका रीच इस तरीके से पहुंचा सकते हैं हम.
Sure. I think that's a very good question. इसमें अगर आप अपना ऑब्जर्वेशन और पावरफुल करेंगे तो रूरल में देखिए, अगर मेरे पास ग्रिड की बिजली नहीं पहुंच रही है राइट, जो 5 रुपए 7 रुपया या फ्री है, तो व्हाट इज ए फार्मर गेटिंग फोर्स टू यूज? वो डीजल जेनसेट चलाएगा, राइट, वो चला रहा है। और डीजल जेनसेट अगर 90 रुपए का डीजल है, ठीक है, 3.5 यूनिट लगता है, 3.5 यूनिट जनरेट कर सकते हो आप 1 लीटर डीजल से, तो रफली आपका 25 रुपया से फ्यूल का कॉस्ट है 1 यूनिट ऑफ इलेक्ट्रिसिटी प्रोड्यूस करने के लिए, ठीक है। तो वो आज वहाँ के लोग पे कर रहे हैं। बिहार में भी ऐसे बहुत सारे एरियाज हैं, महाराष्ट्र में भी है, लातूर में भी होंगे, वेयर आई एम सेइंग कि द अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट इज हायर। ये लोग ऑलरेडी बहुत ज़्यादा पे कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि आज उनके पास पानी नहीं पहुंच रहा है सही तरीके से, बिजली नहीं पहुंच रही है, तो उन्होंने जो भी जुगाड़ सिस्टम लगाया है, राइट, दैट इज ऑलरेडी कॉस्टली। तो वी नीड राइट एग्रीगेटर्स इनटू द सिस्टम जो ये प्रॉब्लम को इकोनॉमिकली सॉल्व करेंगे, ठीक है। हम लोग क्या करते हैं, हम लोग बोलते हैं कि अरे फ्री बिजली देंगे, लेकिन फ्री बिजली में आप सर्विस क्वालिटी नहीं दे सकते हो, आप मुश्किल से आधे घंटे रात में 3 से 4 जला दोगे, दैट्स नॉट फ्री, राइट, इट इज कमिंग एट ए कॉस्ट, इट डज नॉट हेल्प मी। तो सम पीपल इन गवर्नमेंट विल वांट टू वॉश देयर हैंड बाय सेइंग कि हम तो फ्री बिजली दे रहे हैं, ठीक है। कुछ दूसरे एक्टिविस्ट लोग रहेंगे, अगर आपने समझ लीजिए 25 रुपये आज उसका डीजल का कॉस्ट है, वहाँ पे किसी ने एक सोलार का मिनी ग्रिड डाल ली, ठीक है, अगर वो उसे 15 रुपये में दे रहा है, तो न्यूज़ बन जाएगी पेपर में कि भाई वो 15 रुपये में उसको बिजली बेच रहा है, जबकि 7 रुपये में तो ग्रिड देती है। तो आई एम सेइंग कि हमें सॉल्यूशंस की वायबिलिटी इनके बीच में लाना पड़ेगा।
लेकिन सर ये सॉल्यूशंस आज मोस्टली गवर्नमेंट ड्रिवन है।
हाँ,
जो गवर्नमेंट की स्कीम्स होती है उसी से लोग वो अडॉप्ट करने का सोचते हैं, अदरवाइज दे आर नॉट विलिंग टू स्पेंड देयर ओन मनी। सो हाउ टू लाइक चेंज दिस सिचुएशन एंड मेक दिस टेक्नोलॉजी अफोर्डेबल टू द पीपल, द कॉमन पीपल।
राइट, तो देखिए, एक है कि गवर्नमेंट स्कीम को आप लाइन अप करो। अगर गवर्नमेंट पीएम कुसुम और ये दे रही है, राइट, तो वो अलग अलग साइजेस, वाटर डेप्थ पे अलग अलग स्कीम्स आपको दे रही है। डू यू हैव ए राइट डेटा कि आपके एरिया में कितने फार्मर्स, कितनी लैंड होल्डिंग, क्या वाटर टेबल है, और इनको सही मॉडल उसका मिला है, नहीं मिला है, नहीं मिला है, तो बीच में कुछ मिडलमैन गड़बड़ कर रहा है या कहाँ पे गड़बड़ कर रहा है। तो आई थिंक वन गुड स्टार्ट कुड बी कि अगर स्कीम है ऑलरेडी, तो हाउ यू कैन एंश्योर दैट ए राइट मैचिंग ऑफ दैट स्कीम and right product gets meet to the people there. So that I think is first step that you can take, ताकि वो, आपका कहना सही है, वो प्रैक्टिकल है, राइट, कि अगर मुझे गवर्नमेंट स्कीम से वाटर पंप फ्री मिल रहा है या बहुत कम पैसों में मुझे सब्सिडी ऑलमोस्ट 95% मिल रही है, तो कोई मार्केट से जाके वाटर पंप नहीं लाएगा जब तक कि उसको उतना इकोनॉमिक बेनिफिट्स नहीं दिखेगा। तो मार्केट सिस्टम्स विल ऑलवेज प्रिवेल, राइट, एंड दैट इज वेयर वी नीड टू प्ले, कि अगर गवर्नमेंट स्कीम है तो सही जगह टारगेटेड फॉर्म में पहुंच रही है क्या, एंड इफ दैट स्कीम इज इफेक्टिव, उसको हम और स्केल अप कर सकते हैं क्या डिफरेंट फॉर्म में, बाय टेकिंग ए राइट प्रपोजल। दैट पावर यू हैव टू ऑब्जर्व, डॉक्यूमेंट इट राइटली, एंड देन टेक द प्रपोजल। एंड देयर आर लॉट ऑफ राउट्स अदर देन गवर्नमेंट फंडिंग, lot of non-profits and multilaterals exist which can come into fund even at that level or at an aggregation of that level, right? और social media तो आजकल हम सबको यूज करना आ गया है, तो if you are able to reflect upon your problem and able to put it in LinkedIn and other sources and ask for a call कि भाई ये स्टेटस है मेरे 1000-10,000 फार्मर्स का, this is what I have understood, come and help me. I want you all to go and search Manu Srivastav. He is an IS officer cadre. Who knows about him? Right? Few people know. Please share it with your all team, his LinkedIn profile. He started in a very low profile position, making observations and kind of seeing कि हमारा सोलार कैसे बढ़ सकता है, साइज कैसे बढ़ सकता है, उसका यूनिट कॉस्ट कैसे कम हो सकता है, and he has done a good job in terms of improving, rectifying at the contract levels, और आज वर्ल्ड के सबसे बड़े सोलार पावर प्लांट्स आर स्टैंडिंग इन इंडिया एट मच कॉस्टलियर रेट एंड फेयरली फाइनेंस प्रूफ वाले सिस्टम्स है। तो ही हैज़ नाउ बिकम एडवाइजर टू मेनी कंट्रीज अक्रॉस टू काइंड ऑफ टीच देम कि ये हो सकता है। तो आई एम सेइंग कि स्मॉल ऑब्जर्वेशंस, कंसिस्टेंट, स्टिकिंग टू इट can allow you to kind of build solutions for your local ecosystem. और क्लाइमेट ऐसा है कि इट्स ए हार्ड टॉपिक, यू आर वेरी राइट, है ना। किसान को ऐसा लगेगा भाई बारिश तो पहले भी हो रही थी, सूखा तो पहले भी आ रहा था, अभी आप लोग ने इसको क्लाइमेट के एंगल से चिपका दिया हो तो ठीक है, उसके इश्यूज क्या है वो हमें समझना है। अगर ड्रॉट और फ्लड और पेस्ट साइड इज एन इश्यू, देन व्हाट इज कॉजिंग वो साइड में अगर हम हेल्प कर सके एंड इफ वी आर एबल टू टेक सोल्यूशन स्मॉल लेवल पे उसे डेमोन्स्ट्रेट कर सके तो आई थिंक वो आता है। तो आई थिंक लॉट ऑफ गुड केसेस एग्जिस्ट, हमें उसे यूज करना पड़ेगा। स्टार्ट स्मॉल, showcase results, build data, and then I think there can be more support that you can generate. So I think that is point.
Myself Siddharth Vishnu, and like my friend, I'm also from the so-called drought from Marathwada region. So as there is this buzz about the sustainable channels for the energy production, like the EV and solar, as you have rightly mentioned. So my question to you, sir. So the word sustainable in real terms, how sustainable these terms are in real terms? Because in terms of EV also, we are burning the coal and producing the energy again. In solar also, the energy efficiency is not matching as per the norms with the traditional engine efficiency of petroleum products. So what I'm asking you is, should we change our focus in at least in the short run only to these traditional mechanisms only, by incentivizing or producing more funds to this research, by increasing the energy efficiency, instead of focusing our entire attention to this EV and solar. So if I'm like suppose like an example, suppose one engine is giving 50 kmph as average, so our focus should be on increasing the efficiency to 70 kmph, like that. We are right now diverting our all attention to EV, but not, so in the long run that can be sustainable, but for the short run I'm asking you, should we change our focus in that direction?
सिद्धार्थ, आपका क्वेश्चन अच्छा है। कुछ उसमें टेक्निकल गड़बड़ ये हो गई कि 50 to 70 kmph इज किलोमीटर पर आवर, हमको स्पीड नहीं बढ़ाना इंजन की, राइट। आई थिंक व्हाट यू मेंट वाज कि यूजिंग, तो दो एंगल में मैं इसको आंसर कर रहा हूँ, राइट। आपने एक सोलार वर्ड बोला और एक ईवी वर्ड बोला, ठीक है, और आपने एंड एनर्जी एफिशिएंसी की बात की, ठीक है, विच इज़ गुड पॉइंट। हमको हमारे जो कंजम्पशन साइड में है, कोई भी अप्लायंस यूज़ करे, ईवी इज़ वन ऑफ द अप्लायंस जो मोटर आइज वाले पेट्रोल इंजन को कर रहा है, बट इससे ट्रांसपोर्ट एप्लीकेशन, वैसे घर में कुकिंग भी हो सकता है, अगर आप इंडस्ट्री वाले हो, हमारे लाइटिंग्स, फैंस, ये सब में एनर्जी एफिशिएंसी अगर हम लाएंगे तो यहाँ पे 1 यूनिट आप सेव करोगे तो इसका जो लॉसेज और ऊपर मिला के जनरेशन में हो जाता है वो 3 यूनिट्स हो जाता है, राइट। तो 1 यूनिट यहाँ आप बचा रहे हो तो वहाँ 3 यूनिट जनरेशन कम करना पड़ेगा, वेरी गुड थिंग, यू आर राइट कि हमको उसको प्रायोरिटाइज करना चाहिए, राइट। ईवीज वैसा ही एक तरीका है, राइट। ईवीज में अगर मैं एक पेट्रोल इंजन चला रहा हूँ, आपको एग्जांपल देता हूँ, उसमें मैं 100 यूनिट्स एनर्जी के डालूंगा तो मुझे 15 यूनिट एंड आउटपुट मिलते हैं जिससे मेरा व्हील मूव हो रहा है। तो कितनी एफिशिएंसी हो गई है इंजन की, जो आपने अभी बोला, पेट्रोल इंजन 100 यूनिट डाला मैंने उसमें एनर्जी के, एंड आउटपुट जिससे व्हील मूव हो रहा है वो मुझे 15 ही मिल रहा है, तो मेरी एफिशिएंसी कितनी हो गई, 15%, 15%, राइट। ये पेट्रोल है। अब अगर इसमें मैं पेट्रोल इंजन हटा दूं और यहाँ पे मोटर लगा दूं, ठीक है, और मोटर को मैं इलेक्ट्रिसिटी से चलाऊं, सेम रोड पे चल रही है, सेम गाड़ी, सेम लोड, 100 यूनिट जब डाल रहा हूं मैं इसमें, तो मुझे एंड आउटपुट कितना मिलता है, 85, 85। कितना एफिशिएंट है इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल, 85%। सो 15% एफिशिएंसी, 85% एफिशिएंसी, ऑलमोस्ट 5 to 6 टाइम्स हो गई। कंजम्पशन साइड ही एफिशिएंसी बता रहा हूं, ठीक है। ये टेक्निकल एफिशिएंसी है एक मोटर की वर्सेस इंजन। इंजन में बहुत लॉसेस हो जाते हैं, ठीक है। तो ये एफिशिएंट टेक्नोलॉजी किसी ने इन्वेंट कर लिया। अब ये एफिशिएंट टेक्नोलॉजी को मुझे स्केल अप करना है, लेकिन ईवी की गाड़ी महंगी आ रही है, ठीक है, तो वहाँ पे एडॉप्शन स्लो हो जाता है। तो इसलिए इंडिया ने स्ट्रैटेजी लगाई, इंडिया ने लोकल इकोसिस्टम में खर्चा दिया, उनको बोला कि अगर आप मैन्युफैक्चरिंग डालोगे तो हम कम करेंगे, बैटरी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग करोगे तो हम इतनी सब्सिडी देंगे, अगर आप 2 व्हीलर खरीदोगे तो इतनी सब्सिडी देंगे। तो ऐसे करके सप्लाई साइड और डिमांड साइड दोनों को इंसेंटिवाइज किया, तो हमारे कॉस्ट स्केल्स कम हो गए। आज हमारा इलेक्ट्रिक टू व्हीलर और इलेक्ट्रिक थ्री व्हीलर इज फेयरली विद इन द सेम बॉल पार्क, इसीलिए यहाँ पे सबसे ज़्यादा पेनिट्रेशन अगर आप कंपेयर करोगे तो इसमें हुआ है, ठीक है। तो एफिशिएंसी को बिजनेस मॉडल और कस्टमर डिमांड में आप कैसे इंक्रीज करो, वहाँ पे बिजनेस मॉडल, फाइनेंसिंग और पॉलिसी का बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट रोल होता है, ठीक है। दूसरा आपने सोलार बोला, आपने बोला सोलार की एफिशिएंसी कम है। अब हमको ये देखना है कि ये कौन सी एफिशिएंसी की आप बात कर रहे हो, ठीक है। थोड़ा मैट्रिक इंजीनियरिंग साइड से, अगर मेरा 1 मेगावाट सोलार है और मेरा 1 मेगावाट कोल थर्मल प्लांट है, ठीक है, तो 1 मेगावाट सोलार प्लांट विल जनरेट लेसर आउटपुट इलेक्ट्रिसिटी, क्योंकि वो दिन में जब 12 घंटे सोलार आएगा वो भी थोड़ा कम आएगा, फिर आएगा, फिर कम आएगा, तो इसलिए वो कम इलेक्ट्रिसिटी प्रोड्यूस करेगा, ठीक है, क्लियर। तो इसको मैं उसकी इनएफिशिएंसी बोलूंगा क्या सोलार प्लांट की? नहीं। इट इज नोन नाउ टू कि भाई सोलार प्लांट का कैपेसिटी यूटिलाइजेशन फैक्टर 20% ही है, तो दिस 1 मेगावाट सोलार इज एक्चुअली इफेक्टिवली ओनली 0.2 मेगावाट सोलार, ये 0.2 मेगावाट सोलार और ये 1 मेगावाट कोल थर्मल प्लांट, राइट। अब आपको ये देखना है कि इसमें पैसा कहाँ ज़्यादा लग रहा है इन टर्म्स ऑफ कैपेक्स, और ये पावर प्लांट 15 साल, 20 साल, 25 साल चलेगा, ये चलेगा, तो इससे प्रोड्यूस इलेक्ट्रिसिटी पर यूनिट कॉस्ट और इसका कितना आएगा, तो सोलार इज कमिंग चीपर। इंडिया में अभी 2.3 रुपीस पर KWH में आप सोलार जनरेट कर पाते हो बड़े पावर प्लांट्स के लिए, और थर्मल सोलर कोल एवरेज का कॉस्ट इज गोइंग बियॉन्ड 3.54 रुपीस पर KWH। तो हम कौन सी एफिशिएंसी की बात कर रहे हैं, वी ऑलवेज हैव टू बी वेरी वेरी क्लियर, ठीक है। मैनी ऑफ यू मे बी कमिंग फ्रॉम लिटिल डिफरेंट नॉन इंजीनियरिंग बैकग्राउंड, लेकिन इतना हार्ड नहीं है एफिशिएंसी, ठीक है ना। सिंपल आपको मैथमेटिकल फ्रैक्शन में जाना है कि न्यूमरेटर क्या है और डिनोमिनेटर क्या है, उसको डिफाइन करना है आपको, देन इट बिकम्स वेरी वेरी क्लियर कि आप किस पार्ट की कौन सी एफिशिएंसी की बात कर रहे हो, ठीक है। तो दोनों पॉइंट जो आपने बोले, आई थिंक फ्रॉम डिफरेंट लेंसेज, सोलार इज एफिशिएंट in terms of costing capex per unit, right? जो उसको 20% लगता है, उसकी जो इनएफिशिएंसी बोलते हैं ना, वो एरिया से आती है कि 1 मेगावाट का सोलार लगाने के लिए मुझे 4 एकड़ की जमीन लग रही है, उसको लोग इनएफिशिएंसी बोलते हैं, ठीक है। और उसको अभी नई टेक्नोलॉजी जैसी आ रही है कि 4 को मैं 3 कर सकता हूँ क्या, 2.5 कर सकता हूँ क्या, तो दैट इज व्हाट द वर्ल्ड इज ट्राइंग टू क्रंच मोर सोलार इन लेसर स्पेस, राइट। तो वो स्पेस एंगल से, स्पेस यूज एंगल से मैनी पीपल में हैव दैट फॉर्म ऑफ ए व्यू, ठीक है। और इंडिया के पास स्पेस बहुत है, ठीक है, तो हमारे पास स्पेस का प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, हमें जितना पावर चाहिए हम उसका 10 गुना सोलार से जनरेट कर सकते हैं। नाउ इट बिकम्स फाइनेंशियल एंड बिजनेस मॉडल प्रॉब्लम कि हम इसे कैसे सक्सेस कर सके, ठीक है। बट गुड क्वेश्चन, हु एल्स?
Sir, I have a question regarding E20 in compliance, E20 petrol. Many of the engines are non-compliant, so it is burdensome for common man. So what should be the solution?
And how does it become burden for common man?
Because average reduces of the car. Honda and all these cars have now compliant machines, but what about the older versions like Maruti and all?
Right.
Average has reduced drastically.
I think that's a good question, right? कि ये ट्रांजिशन कैसे होगा, and it is
Immediately we can't shift to the new model. So what should be done?
right. I think जब हम टेक्नोलॉजी को एक अडॉप्ट करते हैं तो हमें उसकी लाइफ साइकिल्स इन ऑल दिस फॉर्म्स देखना चाहिए। तो E20 इज ऑल्सो सिमिलर थिंग, लाइक हमारे इंजन्स कैन सपोर्ट इंक्रीज ब्लेंडिंग विथ एथेनॉल to certain ratios, and it also changes from engine design, vehicle and driving conditions, right? हमारे जो vehicles का एक technical specification आता है जो आपको बोलेगा कि आपकी मारुति Desire will give you 13 kilometers per liter, राइट, वो बहुत स्टैंडर्ड कंडीशंस होती है, या 18 किलोमीटर्स पर लीटर रहता है, वो बहुत स्टैंडर्ड लैब टेस्टिंग कंडीशंस में आपको मिलती है. जब आप रियल लाइफ में गाड़ी चलाओगे ऊपर नीचे आड़ा टेढ़ा, तो दैट नंबर विल काइंड ऑफ चेंज. तो यू आर राइट, ethanol, it has further decreased, is your own observation with ethanol. Okay, so I'm saying ki I don't have a immediate answer, but I'm saying ki there are efforts that I'm aware which I am not part of, which are looking into ki how much effective is the ethanol route to go for India. थोड़े mixed views है उसके around, right? Because एक ethanol से हमारा एग्रीकल्चरल वैल्यू चेन अफेक्टेड हो रहा है. इट्स नॉट जस्ट द वेस्ट सब्सिड्यूज जो एथेनॉल प्रोडक्शन में जा रहा है, अभी फार्मिंग प्रोडक्शन मेनली फॉर एथेनॉल ग्रोइंग होना जा रहा है, राइट? तो आपकी दूसरी जो फूड डाइवर्सिटी है वो गड़बड़ हो गई, बिकॉज यू आर इंसेंटिवाइजिंग सम हायर थिंग फॉर दिस. वो हो भी चुका है महाराष्ट्र में, यूजर्स पहले भी और अभी भी. तो दैट वैल्यू चेन गेट्स डिफर, राइट? और वो ओवरऑल लाइफ साइकिल में अपना उतना एमिशन अवॉइड किया और उसको आप बायोमास से रीराउट कर रहे हो, तो इज दैट ओवरऑल इफेक्टिव फॉर द ग्लोबल सिस्टम या इट इज नॉट? आई थिंक दैट इज गेटिंग लिटिल क्वेश्चन मार्क. तो इंडिया स्टैंड्स इन ए लिटिल मिक्स ऑफ दिस डिफरेंट टेक्नोलॉजीज. हम एथेनॉल ब्लेंडिंग भी बात कर रहे हैं, हम इलेक्ट्रिक भी बात कर रहे हैं, और अभी हम हाइड्रोजन की भी बात करना चालू कर दिया है, right? So I think that is how we are evolving and learning and correcting. But I will give more thoughts to this ethanol question from broader sustainability perspective. But that's a good thing. You have to start thinking and finding reasons for such things. Good question. Anyone else? I saw a few more hands, लेकिन mic सामने आ गया. Someone from girls? Yes, please, ma'am.
Sir, I have a question related to the agriculture sector. If we take example of organic farming, then if we compare organic farming with the traditional method that we use, especially the chemical fertilizers and the production, then organic farming has its limitation that it will not create the production as similar to the current method that we use in agriculture. So, don't you think that, especially in the lower income countries like Asian countries or in the African countries, it will take time and technology are also not at affordable level, available, not available at affordable level. So, it will take time for developing countries or underdeveloped countries to accept such technologies because they are not available at affordable prices. So, how to deal with it and what will be the solution for, especially the solution needed to be solution needed to be developed that will be affordable for the underdeveloped countries, especially because if we compare these countries to the developed countries, they have that income level that they can choose such kind of
Products.
solutions. So, what will be the solution for the underdeveloped countries, especially?
हमारे घर में सुधाकर कुबड़े जी आते हैं, राइट? वो हमारे दूध वाले भी हैं, एंड इज ए फार्मर एंड इज एन ऑर्गेनिक फार्मर. ही इज ए पद्म भूषण इन नागपुर फॉर ऑर्गेनिक फार्मिंग. ही हैज ए 7 acres of land. He and his kids are doing it, and I keep talking to him, I keep participating and learning from him. So I'm only short reflecting. One, he has been consistently following organic farming, and he tells me कि सर वो मिथ है कि ऑर्गेनिक फार्मिंग से प्रोड्यूस और यील्ड कम होती है. ठीक है, आपकी जो सॉइल होती है वो फर्टिलाइजर यूज से इतनी खराब हो चुकी होती है. सॉइल की भी आदत होगी ना, जैसे हमारे बच्चे बिगड़ जाते हैं तो उनको ठीक करना एकदम से ऐसा नहीं होता, राइट? इट टेक्स टाइम. तो सॉइल का भी ऐसी हाल है. तो इट टेक्स सम टाइम to make that soil really fertile from the right organic angle. उतने टाइम पीरियड में आपकी yield थोड़ी लूज होती है, बट उसके बाद it really matches up and in some cases also better. So there are ways and means कि आप ऑर्गेनिक में ज़्यादा भी कर सकते हो. This is one point. Second, he is not in the rank. He has created his own system of directly going to the end consumer like me and selling his produce. उनका फिक्स्ड है. कोई भी सर चीज़ आप लो 70 रुपए किलो मिलेगी आपको. मार्केट में 10 रुपए किलो भी हो या मार्केट में 200 रुपए किलो भी हो, मैं आपको 70 रुपए किलो से ही दूंगा, फिक्स्ड है। एवरी प्रोड्यूस, आप कुछ भी ले लो, संतरा, सीताफल, ये कुछ भी चीज मिक्स करके ले लो, 70 रुपए किलो, राइट? बिकॉज ही इज ओनली काइंड ऑफ लुकिंग फ्रॉम द एंगल कि ये मेरा कॉस्ट है, इतने प्रोड्यूस से मेरा हो जाता है। तो आई एम सेइंग कि ऑर्गेनिक को अगर हमें इंक्रीज करना है तो देर आर न्यू एंड डिफरेंट वेज वी हैव टू काइंड ऑफ थिंक, एंड ही हैज बीन एबल टू प्रमोट, और उन्होंने एक अच्छी कोऑपरेटिव बना दी है। तो नागपुर में वेडनेसडे और संडे 2 दिन आते हैं एंड ही काइंड ऑफ कलेक्ट्स फ्रॉम अदर फार्मर्स एंड ही कम्स एंड डू दैट सेलिंग डायरेक्टली टू द कंज्यूमर्स। तो उन्होंने अपनी एक चेन बना ली है। तो अगेन दैट इज माई सेकेंड रिक्वेस्ट कि अगर आप लोगों को इस प्रकार के लोगों से मिलना इंटरेस्टिंग लगता है तो I can again arrange the second visit. One was for electric buses. If someone wants to really understand कि एक सिटी लेवल में इलेक्ट्रिक बस कितना इन्फ्लुएंशियल है, पब्लिक ट्रांसपोर्टेशन में कैसे ये सस्टेनेबिलिटी ड्राइव हो रही है, तो आई कैन ऑर्गेनाइज विजिट्स फॉर यू। एंड सेकेंड इज दिस ऑर्गेनिक फार्मिंग, आपने एग्जाम्पल दिया, तो आई कैन अरेंज योर विजिट टू हिज फार्म। अच्छा फार्म है, पास में ही है, नागपुर से 25 किलोमीटर दूर। So you can go and visit and ask all different questions that you may have and understand from a farmer's perspective कि वो क्या होता है। I think बहुत सारे insight भी मिलेंगे कि कैसे schemes आती है गवर्नमेंट की, कहाँ पे वो फजल हो जाती है, कौन सी schemes has to be changed in the way they are operating on ground. So lot of insights can come when you go and speak to the people on ground.